For brothers Chris and Casey Keefer, the insistent call to the rugged North Country is something that simply can't be ignored. They hear it loud and clear. Every autumn, the brothers spend 28 days hunting to live in the most remote reaches of Alaska and the Yukon, documenting every inch of their travels.
I think we're in a dangerous situation right now.
I miss my wife, my son.
Their fusion of trials and triumphs endures as the be alive moment for both of them. They're afforded the gear, the ground, and each other.
He's my brother, and I wouldn't trust anybody else out here besides him.
Hey, Bert! Hey, Bert! Hey, Bert!
If they're to enjoy anything else after they're dropped, they must earn it from the land. Year in and year out, the Keefer brothers find a way to be alive in the toughest of conditions.
Tracks, I gotta keep bandages on.
For the first time, Chris and Casey have offered two hunters the opportunity to spend 28 days in Alaska with them.
First meal.
The chosen pair will disconnect from the modern world and plug into the reality of nature. When the 28 days are over, the four hunters will have a new definition of what it means to be alive.
You know, be alive is something that Chris and I, they're words that we've lived by for an awfully long time, but really they don't have any set meaning. Chris and I are always encouraging people to be alive, whatever that may mean to you.
The process all started on Facebook. It was something where we discussed putting out a competition, we discussed all these different options, and we decided at the end of the day, let's put it on Facebook. Let's request some videos, and let's listen and learn from the people that are out there. What does be alive mean to them?
We wanted to take people from outside and bring them into our world. Chris and I are awfully fortunate. We've got to do this for over 120 days over the last couple of years, and we've captured that story documentary style on camera. We have those memories for a lifetime. We wanted to be able to share that with somebody else.
There wasn't any type of fancy rules and regulations. It was just put it out there to you, what is be alive? And that's how we ended up where we are today.
Hello, my name is Paul Harris. What makes me be alive? For me, it's my family, my faith, and my freedom. The very freedom that gives me the opportunities to enjoy the great outdoors.
What does being alive mean to me? It means pursuing your passions, taking chances, and living without regret. If I'm chosen for this adventure, it would be a dream come true.
Be alive for us isn't just about hunting. It's about everyday life and what you do with it. Every day you need to be alive, from sunrise to sunset. Being alive is taking advantage of the opportunities set in front of you.
Hi, my name is Rachel LaBarbera. Being alive to me is sharing in the family tradition that has been passed down from generation to generation. Although it took me longer to become involved in the outdoors, I'm sure glad I did.
I'm ready to be dropped in Alaska. The best fair chase program in decades. Take me with you.
Hi, I'm Brian Fitzpatrick, and I may not look like it, but I am the outdoorsman for the people. And I'm going crazy with all these certified used cards reminding me of everything I've done over the years to be alive. This beauty here reminds me of a backpacking trip in the Rocky Mountains on a do-it-yourself elk bow hunt for 14 days. And this one here, it reminds me of the first time I piloted a glider plane and a motorized hang glider. I've done all these crazy things and none of them compare to Project Be Alive.
It came down to the wire with a couple of different people. We had two brothers out of Pennsylvania, which is our home state. They were in the final running, and it also came down to Cade and RL Panic.
March 5th, 2011 was a day that changed our family's life forever. That was when my dad was diagnosed with a stage 2 cancerous brain tumor. But don't let it kid you. This isn't an everyday cancer story. It was just a wake-up call.
It's not about taking a breath or hearing a heartbeat. My experience taught me why survive when you could be alive.
The feeling of conquering the inevitable while experiencing the aftermath of sacrifice. That moment is when you feel the most alive.
We ended up choosing Cade and RL. They have an awesome dynamic. They're father and son. Chris and I are brothers. We had the family dynamic, but a little bit different dynamic. It was father and son this time, which actually reminded me a lot of what it was like to be out there with my dad when I was younger.
They have overcome something and it was not gonna keep them down. And they just hit home with us.
These two guys are incredible people. They have an incredible story. The way that they grew up, the way that RL raised Cade in the outdoors, how they got away from that for a little while, why they got away from it, and how it's hunting that brought them back together was just a story that we knew had to be shared.
My definition of being alive, living life with no set boundaries, fanning the flame of desire to experience the next unknown with my boy in the outdoors.
Well, once we finally decided who was going to go with us, we figured we'd get him on the computer, pull up Skype, and have a conversation with him. But we had a little something up our sleeves. We weren't going to tell them until the very end of the conversation that they'd actually made the trip. We decided to pull the wool a little bit.
Hey!
There we go.
Hey! How are you guys?
What's up, guys? Can you hear us?
I think we can, barely. I'm just kidding. We got it.
That's good.
Right on.
Well, we appreciate you guys jumping on with us. You know, we've narrowed it down right now to 5 individuals, and we're going through pretty much asking questions and just kind of getting a better feel for things. So if you guys don't mind, we're just going to kind of ask a few questions and talk to you guys and see where you stand on some things.
Yeah, for sure.
First question that we want to go through with you guys is, are you guys all right, first of all, with going out there and potentially not eating for an extended period of time?
Are you?
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that at all.
All right, because it's survival off the land for 30 days, or for the 25 days we're on the trip.
Don't see a problem with that at all.
We're down.
All right, so physically, are you guys both able, any physical conditions, are you both able to lift at least 50 pounds or more? Is everything okay physically?
Good to go. He just ran a half marathon. And
Yeah, no physical issues that way. No, we're good. We're healthy as our age allows us to be.
That's great to hear. All right. All right, do you guys, either one of you guys have any survival experience? Have you ever been in like a situation before where you had to kind of rely on your skills? I mean, I know you guys hunt a lot, but as far as getting around out there in the woods and anything, is the survival experience, do you have any?
I would say not, I mean, extensive, being dropped in the middle of nowhere, having to rely on, we're definitely prepared. We're not one that gets excited, freaks out, stress, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Go hide underneath a rock, and when you deal with the situation in front of you and move forward, do what you can to continue on.
Okay.
Okay, well that's good. How about caping and quartering? You guys, obviously I've seen you guys on your video with some elk and stuff like that. I assume you guys have caped and quartered before?
Oh, most definitely, yeah.
Okay. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, the last question is, which one of the two of you guys is gonna kill the bigger moose when you come with us in September?
Well, that's hands down.
Just because he grows the bigger mustache doesn't mean anything. I got you from my side and ready to seniority.
Seniority, you think you're gonna kill the moose?
I know I'm gonna kill the moose. I mean, I don't know about mustache man over here, but you know.
Let me just rephrase it. When you come with us in September, who's gonna kill the bigger moose?
Right here. Right here.
Let's rephrase it one more time. You're coming with us in September.
Who's gonna kill the bigger moose? You're coming. We got the cameras are rolling, boys. You're coming with us.
Say hi to some of the cameras back here.
The Skype call was so fun. Those guys, we set them up so well. They had no clue what was coming. And it was great because we kept saying, when you're on, dropped, when you're on, dropped. And it was so great to see Cade's reaction. When he finally figured it out, it hit him like a bolt of lightning. That was fun. Boys, we loved it. We can't wait to spend some time with you guys in Alaska.
Well, we're just getting ready to head in and pick up the winners of the Be Alive project this year. We're picking up Cade and his dad, RL. It is September 1st, and they just arrived in Anchorage, so.
We're nervous too. We got to pick up guys that we don't know what it's going to be. This could be an amazing adventure, or this could be a pain in the ass. We're going to meet these guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Good. Yourself?
Good. Hey, what's up, bud?
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good.
You guys ready to rock and roll?
Oh man, yeah.
There's a doer?
There's packs right there. There's one of them.
For the first time, the brothers are preparing to be dropped without the ability to lean on each other. Cade will be learning the ways of Alaska with Chris, while his father RL works his way through the rugged terrain with Casey by his side. The next 28 days is clouded by uncertainty. Casey and RL are loading up and flying out first, while there's a temporary break in the unstable autumn weather. Every piece of equipment is carefully chosen to perform a specific function. It's a task that Chris and Casey have completed many times before, but everything from here on out is brand new to RL and Cade. Once the men are dropped, there's no returning to civilization to retrieve forgotten gear. What's chosen and loaded today will be what keeps them alive for the coming weeks.
Get it on, buddy.
Yeah, you too, man.
Good luck, man. Have a good trip.
Take care of it.
We'll,
All right.
brother, man.
All right, take care.
Be safe.
Be a big one.
Be safe.
You're going to do it. Dylan's on. You're going to do it.
Get it on. Both you guys. Kill it. We'll be in touch soon. All right, boys. Good luck.
Chris and Cade share a somber moment, not knowing what's in store for their brother and father. They can only hope the land allows them to rendezvous roughly 2 weeks from today. With air under their wings, reality begins to set in for Casey and RL. No map can convey the sheer scale of Alaska. Many dangers wait below, and the men will be forced to face those dangers together. Chris and Casey are being dropped in entirely separate locations for the first time, nearly 50 miles from each other. With roughly 80 miles of river to cover between their drop point and extraction, the teams will work their way to a rendezvous point that sits near the halfway mark. As long as they are able to reunite where the rivers converge, the two teams will finish the remainder of the journey together. It's day one in Alaska. Casey Keefer and RL Panic have been dropped into the untamed wilderness with a hunt to live and live to hunt mission at hand. Their admiration of this inspiring and intimidating landscape is short-lived. There's work to be done. The men must set up camp and chart their course for the next 28 days.
Not too bad, man. Thinking like right here. Get it set up with the vestibule facing that way. Are we good to go?
Home sweet home.
Right on. It's legitimately like the easiest tent in the world to set up. And the warmth and everything it gives you is so easy. And that'll be for the vestibule, yep. Coming along?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The opening day of moose season is right around the corner. Casey and RL waste no time making this ground home so they can begin their search for the red meat protein that will give them the energy they need to rendezvous with their brother and father.
I like the angle because it makes all the runoff and runs all the way to snow or weather runs all the way up here.
This one in.
Got it.
Got her. That's it, man. Let's call her.
What an evening. So today is 3rd of September, and I'm back in Alaska, and I'm happy about it. Got dropped, finally in the bush. It's exciting to be back. It's good to be back. It's a really beautiful valley.
Day one, we finally made it into the bush today. It's been kind of a long day. Had to get up at 3 a.m., grab our packs, get to the small little airport.
So Chris and I are actually splitting up this year. So RL will be hunting, him and I will be hunting and together, and Chris and Kate will be out there hunting together, RL's son. So hopefully they were gonna get dropped after us.
Hopefully Kate and Chris got out. There was some question. We kind of found a little window to sneak out. I'm not so sure that they did. Anxious to know if they made it out in the field or not. Let's see if we can gather some wood before this rain sets in. Get it cut up and near the fire, dry out.
Pretty good load of wood there.
Yeah, this, we get it dried out, should last us through the night, hopefully.
Oh, I'll say, holy smoke. Right on. Yeah, a couple of caribou up on this ridge right here. Just back and forth.
Where from the skyline?
Just kind of up on that ridge, and they're just kind of coming down, walking across, feeding all that lichen right there.
Oh.
So.
Spoil that helps to keep a hunter's spirit alive in the bush. The men enjoy the quiet moments while Chris and Kate continue to await their turn to be dropped. On the sandy shores of a cool water lake near Bethel, Alaska, Chris Keefer and his hunting partner Cade Panic are loading up a bush plane and preparing for a flight to their drop point. They're headed toward a remote stretch of wilderness where they'll level up with Mother Nature without the stability of their brother and father for the very first time. Hailing from Utah, Cade is no stranger to mountains and expansive stretches of country, but no state in the lower 48 could prepare him for the 28 days in the bush hunting to live. The stakes are high, and the reality is beginning to set in. Chris's brother Casey and Cade's dad RL have already been dropped and have established a base camp. They're enjoying the spoil of a hot cup of coffee while they settle in and wait for the start of moose season. Chris and Casey are being dropped in entirely separate locations for the first time, nearly 50 miles from each other. With roughly 80 miles of river to cover between their drop point and extraction, the teams will work their way to a rendezvous point that sits near the halfway mark. As long as they are able to reunite where the rivers converge, the two teams will finish the remainder of the journey together. As Chris and Kate begin their descent, they're reminded of how quickly the elements can shift in Alaska. The skies were blue and bright when they left Bethel, but their landing zone is covered by a thick, threatening haze and a cloud of uncertainty.
Holy hell. Here's waves like you got a cadaver in here. My God. That was a pretty ride in. We got in, got to take a look at the river. Looks like we're gonna have a good float.
This is some big country. Big country.
Chris and Cade can't help but wonder what's in store. Together, they'll face Alaska, knowing that the plane will not return for another 4 weeks.
That's it, man.
Me and you.
You ready to be alive?
I'm gonna find out if I can stay alive. That's the attitude.
All right, brother. Let's get her done. Let's do it. The plane is gone. When it leaves, it's an eerie, quiet sound, but it is a good thing. Well, we got a lot of work ahead of us, so let's try and find a camp spot, get set.
Rock and roll.
We can't hunt till tomorrow anyway, so let's get
time's ticking.
Get everything set up, get rolling.
It's the evening of day 1 in southwest Alaska, and Chris and Cade have already shifted their focus to finding food. They must wait 12 hours before they can begin hunting big game, so they're taking their time to get to know the landscape and the fish and waterfowl that call it home.
Beaver trail there.
Should I just sit down in that brush line and wait them out?
Yeah, might be a good idea.
What's this choke like?
Extended choke, be tight, pattern, that distance across there should be perfect enough to take a few heads off anyway. They're easing their way in. Might be best if you snuck up there and just kind of
brushed in.
Yeah, just kind of sat and wait for them to come. Just get right on the edge. See how they're kind of they're holding tight right there. But I just have a feeling they're going to just ease their way back in here.
Yeah, we'll try and wait them out for a little bit.
Yeah.
For sure.
What do you think, man? Pretty cool looking spot, isn't it?
Yeah, this is really cool. This nice little plateau area with the marsh right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. Took us about 40-45 minutes to get up here.
It's not too bad of a hike.
Not too bad of a pack.
No.
If there is such a thing.
Yeah.
I don't think any pack with a moose is an easy pack, but I kind of like this. We got this high vantage, see all these willows and stuff down through here.
I think we'd spend most of the day here just glassing.
Oh yeah. Glass these draws all really well. Keep an eye on this flat. Saw some berries on the way up here too, so there may be some bears using these side hills.
While Casey and RL remain perched upon a ridge, nearly 50 miles to the east, Chris and Cade continue their search for supper. While approaching the ducks, Chris notices a certain sign of autumn, signaling yet another opportunity for protein.
We might have the wrong weapon in our hand.
Very true.
Right here, flying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, the full-blown hatch. They're dropping and feeding off them. I've got this stuff to match this. Look how many bugs are coming off right now, like in the past. 5 minutes just standing here watching. Unbelievable. I don't know exactly what they are. I mean, we can catch one and look at them. They got a long split tail, I can see that right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got enough in my box to match it. But they're in the air right now, which means like over the next day or so, we're gonna have a full spinner fall right here. I mean, there's fish rising.
They're everywhere.
But I mean, if they drop to the water and have a spinner fall, we're gonna have a heyday in here. It's like a mayfly. See a split tail? Right there. Clear body, yellow on the bottom. It's bigger than a sulfur, which I have. It's got clear wings though. Those are like smoke color wings. So they're not ready to fall yet.
Think we can match it pretty easy though?
Oh yeah. Let's hunt our way back here with the ducks and see if we can get some meat on the ground for dinner. And if we can't, then we can decide then how late it is, if we want to come back up here and try and catch some fish. If not, we got tomorrow. At least we know there's grayling in here, which is huge, because that lake is deep. There's another one rising right there. Cool.
Seen some caribou so far this morning. We've seen a few up on the side hill, up behind us, up on this mountain. Been able to spot some caribou. Haven't seen anything else, but it's a good start anyway. At least there's life up here. Unfortunately for us, caribou is closed here, so it's kind of brutal that it's closed because we can't hunt them. But it's still cool to see them. I mean, love watching wildlife like that. It's pretty sweet.
Got a chance to take in the landscape, the terrain. We spent the day glassing from camp. Saw caribou, very encouraging on our hunt. Saw some bear tracks on our way down to the creek to get us to get some fresh water.
I don't know what Chris is up to. I don't know if those guys got dropped in yesterday. They're getting dropped in today. I don't know. Up here, you never know. You know, last year we got weathered into the hangar for days and days on end, and this weather up here changes so fast. It moves in and moves out. So hopefully those guys got in. Hopefully they're having some success if they're starting to look for black bears, because black bear is actually, season is open, but moose season isn't open yet. So moose season doesn't open until tomorrow, which is the 5th of September.
Hopefully Cade and Chris made it out. There was a storm setting in just as we left. Not so sure that they did. I'm excited for Cade. Hope he has a bigger adventure than I do.
You're gonna have to sneak up there by yourself, because I don't want to spook them. Just ease up there. If you gotta get on the ground and crawl a little bit, get to the edge. Ease in there as much as you can. If they fly, shoot. It's not more than about 20 yards, 30 yards across there. You should be fine with that choke.
The thick cover of the willow-choked river flats offers Cade the concealment he needs to gain position on the ducks. His shotgun's extended choke sprays a tight pattern, capable of pelleting small targets at relatively long range. For the first time in the 4 seasons, Chris is forced to rely on someone other than his brother to bring home supper. It's important for Chris to give his trust to Cade if they have any hope to make it out of the bush alive.
Wait, just wait.
them.
Got one of them down, I swear. Got one down. All right, we'll take it. That's one breast for you and one breast for me.
Right.
That's awesome, man. You know, we got one thing. Good and the bad. Good part is you have waders on.
That's right.
Bad part is you have waders on, so now you gotta go get them.
Yeah.
Hold him up. What do you got? It's a dead duck. That's a good looking duck, man.
Not bad, it'll do.
No, you'll do, and we can pull him right here. I'm saying that let's just de-breast him right here.
Yeah.
Rip the breasts out of him. I don't want to, then we don't have to take him back to camp. We can just do it right here, cut them, get rid of them, then we don't have any food smell over there that we don't need to.
It's the evening of day 2 in Alaska, and Chris and Kate already have their hands on a vital source of protein. They're breasting the duck away from base camp to ensure the fleshy aromas don't attract any unwanted visitors to camp. Moments like this are a great opportunity for Kate to learn about processing game from Chris, a man who has plenty of practice field dressing animals. Each hunter needs to be proficient in the entire process so they can rely on each other if things go awry in the bush.
Don't want to leave any on him.
No, especially when he's small. It's gonna be like 2 chicken nuggets.
That's basically what it is. But it's just enough in there to give you something in your belly, which is good with me. And just like that, voila, dinner.
Yeah.
That's it. You get one bite. Next time we gotta shoot more than one.
I know.
Maybe we'll shoot 3 or 4. Well, it ain't much, but it's protein, buddy.
Yes, sir. Every little bit counts, and we're out here doing this.
That's exactly right. There's breast number 2. There's yours.
There's yours.
There's mine. Cheers. Well, we're dropped. And it feels good to be dropped in Alaska again. Except it's a little bit weird this time. I don't have my brother. I think this is the first time we've actually been separated in a country like this ever. So it's different. A lot of mixed emotions coming in here. I'm excited, but we're doing Project Be Alive. And I got my man Cade with me.
Day 1, it finally happened. I've been waiting on it. It's like a kid waiting for Christmas times.
He's the meaning of Be Alive, both him and his father. And it's exciting to have him in camp with us. It's exciting to see all this through his eyes for the first time.
The country is huge, though. I'm from Utah, the middle of the Rocky Mountains, and I thought home was big, but this is crazy. It's my first time being in Alaska, and it's nuts to see the type of country.
Went out today and shot a duck. He wanted to get dinner, so we let him shoot a duck. So let's go. You want dinner? Let's kill a duck. So we did.
At least we made it count with 1, but would have liked to have been a little bit more, 2 or 3 with 1 shot.
I'm hoping that Casey and RL are on that side and they're just having a heyday and getting her done. But I know for a fact on this side, Cade and I, yeah, we're gonna be alive. We're gonna have some fun.
Chris and Kate have decided to save their meal for morning. The duck's bounty offers the hunters around 100 calories each, enough for them to start tackling another day in the bush. But to bare-hand meat by the campfire on their second morning lifts their spirits even more than the energy it provides.
Days are growing shorter and colder now. The old north wind blows leaves across the ground. I lay down in the middle of the road, watching for faces in the crowd. Sure is quiet now that you're not around. Is our love unraveling, or is it just falling?
Casey and RL have risen, and they're immediately moving toward higher ground. Elevated viewpoints offer the men a more expansive look at the landscape and a greater chance of spotting game. As the excitement of opening day of moose season intensifies, the hunters remain focused on their primary objective of living to hunt and hunting to live.
We've been waiting. Sets my heart, we've been waiting. We've been waiting. We've been waiting.
That's phenomenal.
Sets my heart, we've been waiting. Our souls bound, we've been waiting.
It's the morning of day 3 in southwest Alaska, and Chris and Kate are inflating their raft for an impending float across the lake. When the time is right, they'll paddle to the river's edge in search of a fruitful fishing spot and prime moose habitat.
All right, so we'll do the floor last.
Okay.
And what we're gonna wanna do is we'll get both pumps, and they see these gray things?
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna hitch in, that'll do the bow and the stern and the sides. And there's like different channels.
Yep.
So if you get a pump and I get a pump, we'll start with bow and a stern, try and get that up, and then we'll do both sides, get that going, put the floors in, fill it up, and then we'll get all the oar locks tightened. Good shoulder exercise though.
Oh yeah.
On a float hunting trip, the raft is just as important as the weapons. Without a reliable mode of transportation, Chris and Cade could never reach extraction or the hunting and fishing grounds along the way. They're using a pristine Bencher's Legend raft, capable of hauling a hunter, his gear, and a bull moose through as little as 7 inches of water.
Well, these are up, man. They went up way faster than expected, which is good.
Yep.
And bad because they're a lot smaller than what I'm used to. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to pack it, keeping it evenly distributed on the weight. But the only way we're going to be able to do it is if you go bow, I'll go stern. We just go back and forth and just steer that way. We're not going to center row these at all. In fact, it's not even worth putting on the oar locks.
No.
What do you say we go find something to eat?
Let's do it. I'm hungry.
Chris and Kate have been dropped nearly 50 miles away from Casey and RL. With roughly 80 miles of river to cover between their drop point and extraction, the teams will work their way to a rendezvous point that sits near the halfway mark. As long as they're able to reunite where the rivers converge, the two teams will finish the remainder of the journey together. "50 miles to the west, the opening day of moose season has finally arrived for Casey and RL. The men have been searching the hillsides, but have yet to spot a single sign of moose movement. For now, they'll continue to glass while they graze on just enough wild berries to keep their eyes sharp. Casey and RL's high-powered optics are an essential tool for high country hunts. Without their spotting scopes and binoculars, they would be blind to miles of ripe terrain. Casey and RL take whatever opportunity they can to pull their lids away from the lens, to see the big picture, and soak in the awe-inspiring beauty of Alaska.
See the shine?
Yeah.
It's the front of a caribou.
Well, it just shifted.
Yeah. And now he's walking.
Yeah.
Man, I thought we were in business. Seeing the first moose of the trip on opening day.
That'd be off to a good start, wouldn't it?
I guess we just keep glassing. We've been up here on this mountain pretty much all day. Seen a sow grizzly and a cub. A big old black bear way off in the distance. But no moose yet. Pretty much glassing all day and haven't seen a moose yet, but I'm gonna stick it out and sit up here for a while. The hill should start to come alive here pretty quick.
Each new day brings a potential opportunity for Casey and RL to fill their empty stomachs. But the search for food doesn't come without a cost. Every step drains valuable calories that the hunters must replenish if they have any hope to survive in the bush for 28 days.
First day of the moose hunt. It's like a kid at Christmas. Got up this morning and prepared camp and got our gear ready, and we hiked out.
Didn't see any moose, which was a little discouraging, but man, we saw a pile of caribou, saw a grizzly sow and a cub.
We saw a stud of a black bear, watched it for a couple hours. Unfortunately, that thing was, we figured, probably somewhere around 3.5, 4 miles away.
We're gonna head back up that way tomorrow, do some more glassing.
Starting to experience a little bit of the hunger pains going on, so it would be really exciting to see if we could get something knocked down.
Starting to get a little hungry. May have to venture off to the river tomorrow, see if I can catch some fish. But I think the plan, first thing in the morning, RL and I talked about going up in there, see what we could find, so.
Casey and RL continue pressing forward in search of the most attractive moose and black bear habitat. The teams are nearly 50 miles away from each other, enough distance to witness completely opposite weather patterns. The climate in Alaska is unstable, often changing drastically by the minute and by the mile.
Boy, it's amazing what a half mile will do, isn't it?
Oh, it's crazy.
Check out that valley. That is perfect moose habitat right there.
You never even knew that waller was there from that other ridge.
Nope. All that willow that's up through there, that is prime moose territory.
Yeah, we definitely need to spend some time here.
That's where we saw that bear yesterday. He's just right there, that black bear.
Right on that ridge.
Yeah.
Wonder, hopefully he's calling that canyon home. Maybe we'll come back out tonight at least.
Splitting up in the wilds of Alaska is a carefully calculated decision for Casey and RL, and today they've made the decision to glass over as much ground as possible. Although they still haven't spotted the moose or black bear they're looking for, RL has come across a source of protein of a different variety.
Found some salmon. Right down here in this pool, you'll see some deadfall.
Yeah.
They're just kind of hanging around that deadfall right there.
I figured that's what this here meant. Down there in that slack water.
Yeah, you'll see there's some deadfall on that far side of that.
Yeah.
That calm water.
Good steer. There we go. Looking
Looking at some friends over there. I'm hoping not to have a visitor. Got a mama and 2 cubs over there. We saw them way down there, and they're just working their way this way. Looks like a big grizz with 2 cubs. So she's on the other side of the lake, which is good, but we're just hoping that she doesn't get curious with those cubs and bring them over here, because the last thing we want to do is have to scare her away, or worst possible scenario is DOL, which is a defense of life, and that's not what we want to do, especially with 2 cubs.
Just keep the eyes peeled.
Yeah, we'll just keep watching her. Obviously, they got to go by us at some point, and that time has come. They're chasing, looks like they're hunting. I watched her take down a rabbit. I watched her just kind of get some more food for her cubs. I'm hoping at this point she just keeps on moving down life's highway, and she doesn't get curious and want to come over here. Darkness is starting to settle in, which is always an uneasy feeling when you have a sow and cubs that fell asleep across the river from you. So I'm hoping that at some point they get up and move on down life's highway. My biggest concern right now is that they're actually on the other side of the lake. It narrows down to a river here, which is, our wind is blowing downstream. So I feel like we're fine right now. They don't even know we're here. But if they get downstream of us, catch some sort of scent, make their way back up, it's going to be dark. So there's nothing worse than fending off a big grizz in the dark.
It's the evening of day 3 in Alaska, and Chris and Kate are foraging for a sugary boost offered by an abundance of fresh wild blueberries. They're keeping a close eye on a like-minded sow grizzly bear across the river. She's teaching her cubs how to find the same sweet berries that are nourishing Chris and Kate.
I hate when you're just about ready to get it and it falls.
Yeah.
You feel like you've lost. You're like, no. Oh, I broke that one. I'm glad she's going downstream.
Me too.
Away from us. Be gone. Cheers, bud.
Cheers. Cheers to blueberries.
Cheers to blueberries. Vanilla ice cream, just right in this thing with these on top of it, and a little chocolate syrup.
Chocolate?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, nearly 50 miles to the west, the hunger pains strengthen as Casey and RL continue their search for sustenance.
I think we might come around this next little finger and stop, take a peek. Yeah, just hopscotch our way along. Get up there as far as we can. Looks like the rain's gonna hold on. Let's roll.
Yes, I've been gone so long. Yes, I've been gone.
Casey and RL have burned far more calories than they've consumed. It's an impossible pace to keep without food to fuel their trek. They realize a caloric deficit is dangerous in the bush, but putting the work in is the only way to find big game in Alaska. Casey and RL rely on topographical maps to learn the lay of the land. The maps may help them chart their course, but nothing educates them more intimately than the time they spend hiking and glassing.
So I think in order to see more, we're gonna have to be here. You know what I mean?
And that's it's a pretty good hike considering the time we have.
That's a haul.
And should give us a good vantage point of that further south also.
Today's the second day of moose season, and we still haven't seen a moose. We got out into some high country here today. We got back up behind camp and got up on the side of the mountain, did some side hilling for quite a ways. Found some really good looking country up there. Really good looking country. Didn't see any moose though.
I'm not gonna lie, tomorrow we could stand to eat. We could find some fish. We'll build a little fire. We'll get up off the ridge and see if we can't build us a little fire and possibly have us a little salmon for lunch. So if that happens, boy, that'll just jumpstart us even more.
Depending on how these next few days play out, we may not be in a big hurry to leave here at all. But of course, if we're not seeing then we gone.
It's the morning of day 4 in Southwest Alaska, and Casey and RL have woken with a renewed sense of vigor and purpose. Even though their energy reserves are all but depleted, they remain optimistic about their location and the potential it holds for big game hunting. Meanwhile, nearly 50 miles to the east, Chris and Kate are settling into a routine with high hopes that a decent meal is coming.
We've been here a few days on the side of the lake where we first got dropped. We've been really lucky with some good weather. It's been actually pretty warm for the most part, but today we woke up to gloomy skies. It's all set in.
Feels good to be back out here for sure. I think we're starting to get in the routine of things. It's nice to get some berry picking, get some blueberries in our bellies, just kind of keeping it going. Kind of have to work your way into it, so it's kind of nice. I think Cade's getting used to it right now. He's starting to get over the hunger feeling.
One of the biggest reality checks is everybody thinks Alaska is, I mean, you drop in and there's game everywhere and it's pick and choose, but definitely not.
It's an awesome opportunity to be on a lake for big game animals, but as far as the small game stuff that kind of keeps us going, they're few and far between.
We're getting hungry, we're getting tired. The weather's wearing on us. Luckily, we filled a coffee cup full of blueberries to kind of hold us over, but at the same time, you know, you look at that fire and you wish there was a big old moose steak cooking on it.
Yesterday, we had a grizzly bear come through. I saw her from a distance, and she had 2 cubs. That's a bad situation. You run into a grizz with 2 cubs.
I want to do everybody proud and do good, because there's a lot of people that are living this dream through me right now, and it's crazy to think that it's me here.
This is the last anticipated day in camp, so tomorrow I think we may row out and hit the other side of the lake.
Before embarking on a trip across the lake, Chris and Cade will spend a day searching for moose. Every autumn, the behavior of the Alaskan moose population changes dramatically as the rut kicks in. Chris utilizes a series of drawn-out cow calls to trick area bulls into thinking there's a cow in heat nearby. In the meantime, Casey and RL have decided to test the waters for protein of a different variety. Silver salmon are marching upstream. Casey employs a vibrant streamer to mimic a minnow, much like the bait fish the salmon feed on naturally. Over the years, Casey has adopted important rituals during his time in the bush. No matter how hungry he gets, he never keeps the first fish. The first catch of the trip is returned to the waters from which it came, as a way to say thank you for the bounty the rivers will bestow upon them in the coming weeks. If nothing else, the sight of a salmon swimming away offers comfort to the secluded hunters, a show of mercy with hopes that mercy will come back to them in time. For Chris and Cade, the sow grizzly bear has returned to camp with her cubs, serving as a constant reminder that no matter how vigilant they may be, there's always a chance that something has eyes on them too.
Told our mothers that we were right. They could tell all their friends that all their boys are gonna be alright. When we kissed our girls goodbye,
we told them not to cry, and we prayed to God most every night. Amazing grace, what sweet sight. See her dressed in white. I once was lost, but now I'm found through her amazing grace and a soft cotton lace.
It's the morning of day 5 in Alaska, and Chris and Kate are waking to the welcome sight of a bull moose browsing a nearby hillside. Having only consumed a duck breast and some blueberries so far, they waste no time pursuing potential protein.
I want to get up on him, get some fucking look-see at him. Yeah. Back your back with that. We're sticker stuff. Let's just get, we have the perfect wind. I want to ease over there because you can just be on the outside. There could be a big bull in there that's got 150, you know what I mean? I want to make 100% certain he's by himself. We got the terrain to do it, so let's just like drop down, ease up, pop up, keep watching. Got the wind. Alright, let's just dip down here, out of his line of sight. We got wind perfect right here. We just gotta sneak around till we get a good vantage. We can lay down, we'll glass him and just make sure he's by himself. He could have a stud in there with him. So let's just check it out, but that's good news, brother. First bull.
Chris belts out a series of cow calls to gauge the moose's reaction. He and Cade need to determine whether or not the bull is legal before they spend precious calories pursuing him. Meanwhile, nearly 50 miles to the west, Casey and RL are beginning to feel the toll of having no food while they reflect on a recent fishing trip.
Did a little test fishing down there earlier this afternoon into this evening and ended up catching one silver. Put it back, just like I always do. Anytime I'm anywhere I'm ever gonna keep fish, I always put the first one back.
Struggled with getting another one caught. So here we go without fish tonight for dinner. Sure be nice to have a change in our palate.
Glaringly apparent as I go through this, there's a lot of things we're really counting on and hoping for. That's part of Alaska. Plan for the worst and hope for the best, that's how it goes.
Saw our first moose, and it was a bull. It just wasn't legal. Not what we were looking for.
Tomorrow we hit the river. It ought to be interesting because this is the first time Cade's ever rode, and this is the first time I'm going down the river without Casey.
It's crazy. I've never been rafting before. Never had to paddle or anything like that. Come from Utah, there's not a lot of big open lakes.
We got a long row across this lake tomorrow, so we're gonna get up early, get up at the crack ass, hit it, and get it.
A new day brings a new adventure for Chris and Cade. They're packing up camp, loading up their raft, and kicking off the shore toward a new horizon. It's now day 6, and Chris and Kate are heading across the lake to a new location more than a mile away. Their float will connect them with the headwaters of the river that will carry them to the rendezvous point. They're hoping to find the river teeming with fish. The only way to know for sure what lies ahead is to charge forward and explore the unknown. Chris and Kate are leaving their drop point behind them with hopes that a new camp location will provide them with the food and safety they need to survive. It's the afternoon of day 6 in southwest Alaska. Casey and RL have covered miles of terrain searching for moose and black bear. Their efforts are finally rewarded by the sight of life in the distance.
Yeah, he's behind all those trees. It's definitely a bull though.
Yeah, it's encouraging.
Yeah, it is.
After a long hike.
He came right up out of the right there. It looks like that little ditch came up right out of the right. He's heading that way along that ridge top right there. Just up off that river.
Pick him up again.
Yeah. That's a good sign right there. First bull of the trip.
It's a good way to feel yourselves for our long hike of the day.
I don't bring it back. We've covered a hell of a lot of ground today.
That right there makes it worth it.
Yeah, it does.
Where do you figure that is by the way of the crow?
How far? A couple miles? 3 miles? 4 miles? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd guess you're probably right close.
It's got to be
3+ anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely 3, for sure. But a moose can cover 3 miles.
Yeah, look.
In no time, you know.
You see him shining.
Yeah, keep an eye on him here, see what he does. Definitely put the wind back in the sails though.
Every new sign of life is encouraging. Chris and Kate are enjoying a similar boost in spirits after their float was interrupted by a bull spotted by the eagle eyes of Kate.
Looks like he had 4 on his left, but it's broken. Like it might be just a chunk there or something, but I don't know if it's broken from this far or if it's actually something that was...
Could have poked his head back up, I lost him.
Yeah, he went in that little ravine. Looking at him head on though, he's not. He's probably in the 50s. Yeah. I mean, it's great, but he's not legal on his browse. He's running.
A bull in Alaska is legal if it meets one of 2 criteria: a greater than 50-inch inside spread or at least 4 points on one brow. Even though Chris is confident that this moose is not legal, he continues to study the animal to be sure.
Pretty encouraging to see another bull. It's too bad he's not legal. Hopefully 3rd time's a charm for sure. Just keep looking. That's all we got to do.
Just rowing across this lake, and Cade looked over and he's like, bull. So, hey, we'll take it. We had to row to this side shore. We were closest to this side, and we want to get a good spotting scope on him. Out there, it was kind of bobbing and weaving. He's going to be borderline legal on his width, probably right at 50. And he's not legal on his brows, so it's really not worth putting the effort out to try and get him. But he's moving across there pretty steadily. Just watch him a minute and see where he goes. He's running, so I don't know if maybe there's another bull in there. We'll just give it a minute, see if something stands out, but it's super encouraging. We're just rowing, and right as we hit the mouth of this river, we started coming in, and this pool is just loaded with salmon.
Oh, don't lose that contact.
Okay, here. He's a little spawned out in red, so we want a little fresher one.
We'll just turn him out.
Yeah, turn him loose. Boom. I'm picking off these dollies that are behind them. They're eating all their eggs. Oh, it's another dolly. Just pink underbelly like that. Beautiful. Doesn't get much better than this. You see the white on. Now river life is way better than lake life.
It's the afternoon of day 6 in southwest Alaska, and Casey and RL have spent a long day glassing for bull moose and black bear. Back at camp, they reflect on the hours they spent away and what it felt like to spot the first bull of the season.
Found a young bull. He was alone. He was a long ways off, probably 4 or 5 miles at least. And then we found a cow, lone cow in kind of a beaver pond looking area, probably at least 3 miles off. So
that sure gave us a breath of fresh air, looking at knowing that's why we're here, is to see if we can conquer the great Alaskan Yukon moose.
I'm trying to stick to what I see on the map as the rivers and creeks. We've got the PR 49 pack rafts, and you know, my plan is if we do kill one out there, try and pack it to the nearest creek, inflate the PR 49s, float it down to the main channel of this river right here where they join up. It's about the best we can hope for.
Same grizzly sow and cub seems to be staying in that same general area where we've been going from camp. Also seen a massive, just a stud of a bear boar kind of ruling the territory over in that same area.
So we hit the river, go find a spot to set up tent.
Yes, sir. Let's do it to it.
How fun was that?
That was pretty fun.
Like it?
Yes, sir.
First salmon in Alaska?
That's right. Hooked for life.
The feeling of a successful fishing stop breathes new life into Chris and Cade, but Mother Nature knows how to keep life balanced in the bush. Short spurts of high times are punctuated by the threat of a coming storm and the pressure of reconstructing camp before it hits. As the clear skies give way to fast-moving and heavy clouds, Chris and Cade are reminded how quickly the elements can shift in Alaska. The high times of yesterday have been replaced by the high winds of today.
Yesterday was definitely a lot better than today. We're stuck in a tent for who knows how long, waiting for the weather to clear.
Well, today is kind of one of those days where you don't like to be in Alaska. It's windy and it's just coming in sheets. We're stuck in the tent. Yesterday, however, that was one of the days you like to be in Alaska. It was a gorgeous day. We hit the river for the first time.
Rafted for the first time yesterday, and it was really cool. Did not fall in and drown like I thought I was going to.
Saw Cade hammer down his first silver salmon, which was awesome to watch him catch that. Thought that was pretty cool. Dolly Vardens are just stacked thick in there.
Took us a lot longer than expected to get across the lake and actually to the river. But all that effort going across the river was actually rewarded when I got to catch my first salmon. It was like all my sore arms and muscles went away as soon as I hooked him. It was awesome.
While Chris and Kate are weathered in, 50 miles west, Casey and RL see clear skies and growing opportunity. Today, they divide and conquer. RL is heading toward high ground to continue his search for big game, while Casey drops down to the river and hopes to surprise RL with supper. The silver salmon run is in full force as the fish march toward imminent death. As the salmon swim further upstream, their flesh turns from bright silver to a deep red, signifying the end of their life cycle. As the flesh darkens, the quality of the meat deteriorates. Casey and RL will eat all they can before the supply of fresh salmon disappears completely.
What you came to do, or leave behind you when you're gone.
It's day 7 in southwest Alaska, and RL is covering ground in search of the red meat protein they need to survive the coming weeks. Meanwhile, Casey is searching for supper. One wild salmon fillet contains nearly 300 calories. A meal of this size will keep Casey and RL going for days. So far, Casey and RL have not found good enough reason to abandon their base camp. However, Chris and Kate have left their LZ floating over a mile to the headwaters of the river to set up a new camp. Casey's recent riverside success has afforded him and RL with a much-needed fireside salmon supper. His partner is returning from a scouting trek while Casey fixes the hard-earned meal.
Hey, buddy. Hey there. Our cow. Didn't see our cow we saw yesterday.
Didn't see her?
No, I didn't see her.
No?
I didn't.
Where'd you go?
I went up there just above that, or below that big shell and just above that small shell, and walked around there and got a good glassing out there to see kind of where we was yesterday.
Oh, so you went to the south?
Oh, what do you got there?
That's a couple little chunks of salmon for us, buddy.
Oh!
I decided to sneak off to the river when you were up there. I know when I put that one back there the other day, I thought, you know, I could just see the life drain out of your eyes. I figured I'd better go make up for it.
For the first time since they were dropped in the bush, Casey and RL are able to enjoy a warm meal as a nightcap, an acknowledgement of the mercy Casey showed to her when he let the first fish of the trip swim freely. Tonight, they dine with gratitude, knowing it may be many more days before they earn the chance to eat again.
I'm so far inside the jungle deep. No longer
First
will
meal.
each machete sweep. No, my time for me is about to come.
Hot food.
Finally,
Been a while, huh?
the things
My
I've
belly's
done.
speechless.
Something about just fresh fish.
I awake inside a dream.
Exactly what we needed for a little pick-me-up.
Drunken days under a tree. I feel hands that softly touch my face. Sisters in this hidden place. They sing songs that fill my mind.
Amazing grace, what sweet sight. See her dressed in white. I once was
It's the evening of day 7 in southwest Alaska. Casey Keefer and R.L. Panic are warming up by the fire after a long day of scouting the Alaskan countryside for moose and black bears. With her bellies full of salmon from Casey's catch of the day, R.L. is opening up to Casey about the trials taking place back home while he's hunting to live in the North Country.
I'm tired to get out here. We got lots of coffee, so.
I will compliment you on the catching the fish. Well needed.
But nothing like putting a lot of pressure on the guy. Making me catch the fish. I'll rely on you for the first moose back strap on that.
Fair enough, you got a deal.
Speaking of first, we've had a lot of firsts, man. Today is your first salmon, right?
In the field, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
First salmon out here. What'd you think overall, though?
I could eat that every day, I believe.
Pretty good.
Oh yeah, man.
Right on.
Yeah, that was good. Something about the atmosphere, I believe.
Yep. First salmon. Today was actually my son Ryder's first day of school.
Really?
Yeah, I missed his first day of school. I missed his second birthday, his third birthday, his fourth birthday. Now I missed his first day of school. It's tough, man.
It's tough. I'm hoping my daughter, I'm not sure whether she gets to go back to school or not.
Yeah, she, so talk to me about this accident. What happened before you guys left, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually almost 2 weeks before we hopped on the plane to get here.
Yeah.
She got hit by a car. Her and her best friend got T-boned on a four-wheeler about 40 miles an hour.
Holy crap.
So,
by a car, right?
By a car, yeah. That's a phone call I don't want to ever get again.
Oh, I'll say. I couldn't imagine.
Life Flight called saying they were just transporting her to the hospital, and it's one of the things your mind just races and races, not sure what's going on.
Yeah.
You know?
Did they give you details when they called, or they just said, hey?
No, they didn't, just other than they were loading her up on AirMed and taking her to the hospital, and told us which hospital, which was about 60 miles away from home. So.
And didn't tell you injuries or anything
Nothing
like that?
other than she just been hit by a car, so your mind naturally just wanders, you know, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, she spent 4 days in neuro ICU, which that's kind of a touch and go deal, and she ended up coming out of there with 3 fractured vertebrae and a fractured skull, bleeding on the brain, and some swelling, and miserable. So basically all her injuries was something they couldn't cast.
Jeez, man. But I couldn't imagine being faced with that decision. You had to be.
We kind of let it play out, and we actually had to take her back in the emergency room not quite a week before we headed out here, and she gave me her blessing and told me that I needed to be here, so which made it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But
I'm still,
I don't know what's going on. I haven't touched base with them since we climbed on the airplane. So.
That's tough, man. But the prognosis was good when you left, right?
When I left, yeah, it was good. So, they were just giving her a little bit of time to heal, and
she was home.
Home. Yep, doing well, and touch and go on when they're going to send her back to school. So pretty scary. It's amazing how life can change in a moment.
Just like that.
Yeah.
That's why, this project in particular, the whole Be Alive thing for Chris and I. Chris has got his horror story, obviously, being in the accident and everything else, and it's just, you're here 1 second, gone the next. Anytime we can come out here and do something like this and just be in the moment, and as we like to say, be alive, it makes it that much more important,
A fireside chat among 2 new friends reminds Casey and RL of the importance of making the most of their Be Alive experience. Uncertainty surrounds them in the bush, and they know that their stay at base camp will be short-lived if they don't find a viable food source soon. It's the morning of day 9 in southwest Alaska. Casey and RL are still running on the calories afforded by the fresh salmon pulled from the cold river over 36 hours ago. As their energy reserves deplete, Casey begins calling from camp with hopes that a bull moose hears his cries and heads their way.
Got up this morning to like 35-mile-an-hour winds, gusting probably up to the 40s, 45. I mean, it's bad.
Today's day 9. We've been socked in the tent for most of the day. You can see, you can tell by the weather behind us, it's coming and going in sheets.
Been calling from camp kind of intermittently here this morning, called from camp yesterday, consistently called from camp. So I figured the 10th was the day I'd like to start calling to see what happens.
We're seriously watching the weather around us. It looks like we might get a little bit of a stopping point from the east. It's moving from east to west.
Moose hunting, you just never know. I mean, it may take them a day to get to you, it may take them 2 days to get to you, but eventually they will get to you.
Meanwhile, nearly 50 miles to the east, Chris and Kate have been weathered in for nearly 2 days. The winds continue to gain force, and the rain has been angrily pummeling the riverbanks with no signs of reprieve. There's no telling when the elements will shift in their favor, but the pursuit of food has become impossible in these conditions. To conserve valuable energy, Chris and Kate have no choice but to lay low inside their Arctic oven tent. The weather has been slightly more forgiving 50 miles to the west. The winds are just as strong, but the rains have been coming in pockets, offering Casey and RL short windows to reach higher ground and continue to glass. During a backwoods Alaska moose hunt, the weather alone can dictate success or failure. Casey and RL take the necessary precautions to ensure that they stay dry during the long hikes that often take them across slippery, rock-bottomed rivers. Each of them carries a set of waders and a pair of dry boots. They often change in the field to meet the requirements of the landscape. Sometimes that means leaving their waders and extra gear on the bank to lighten the load and conserve energy. Casey and RL are scouting the terrain for moose and black bear, nearly 50 miles to the west of Chris and Kate. They're optimistic about the potential for finding big game in the area, so they haven't yet decided to depart their original landing zone. Chris and Kate have ventured over a mile across the lake from their own LZ to find the river and a new base camp they've named Flooded Fork. If the weather relents, the two teams will wind down river in the coming days with hopes to rendezvous at the halfway point.
Last few days have been a whirlwind, that's for sure. It's about the only way I can think to start this journal. Literally a whirlwind. The winds and the rain and the weather and everything has just been insane.
We were planning on maybe possibly going across the river, and we did do that. We went across and left our waders on the shore there, and then we did a huge hike into that beaver pond where we've been seeing that cow. We saw a bear, had no luck with the cow.
We've got a window, it's closing, but right now it's getting better, I think. It's starting to get better. I think they're going to be responding to the calls a lot more, so we just got to stick after it. We just got to keep going.
It's the afternoon of day 9 in southwest Alaska, and the autumn weather has been highly unstable, leaving Casey and RL looking for pockets of dry weather to continue their hunt. They've been burning thousands of calories in their pursuit of big game. Fueled by just one salmon each and a sparse treat of wild blueberries, Casey and RL are in dire need of a more reliable source of protein.
This weather's just setting in like crazy. Finally got a window. You see we've got another storm coming back in. Just get out and stretch my leg. Some ptarmigan or grouse or something right there. Either way, it's dinner. I'm gonna tell Casey. Casey, shotgun in here. I just found a supper. I got some grouse or some ptarmigan or something right here in this opening.
Oh, buddy. Shotgun's right there.
Get it.
The ptarmigan is a member of the grouse family, found all throughout Alaska. Their barred black and white camouflage feathers make them incredibly difficult to spot among the low-lying willows and brush. When the seasons shift to winter, the ptarmigan's plumage turns white, making them even more difficult to see. One ptarmigan breast contains nearly 130 calories, a ration Casey and RL need badly if they're to continue their pursuit of big game.
And generally when they fly, they usually don't fly very far. On the left side. Oh, good Lord. Oh, goodness. Hello, ptarmigan. Yeah, buddy. That's a extended extra full pattern master, so it's going to be tight.
We can reach out there though.
Oh yeah, it's going to be tight.
Let's see if we can, all four of them was right there. Maybe they'll...
Yeah. I'm going to let you kind of go ahead so that way it's more just one walking on his own. Try and rip as many of them buggers as you can. You got all those here, you want these extra shells? I'll let you go up ahead. I'll just kind of hang behind. Oh, don't worry. I'll be ripping shots. I promise you that. Yeah.
The shotgun RL is using is equipped with a Pattern Master extended pulled choke. A shotgun's choke determines the size and distance of the pattern spread when fired. The extended choke narrows the shotgun's bore, allowing the pattern to stay tight for longer distances. A tight pattern allows RL to shoot a bird from farther away and still hit it with enough pellets for the shot to be fatal.
Wondering if you don't want to creep up. Exactly. Don't go up that edge right there. That might be the best bet. Let's get off on the, like right on the edge of the bush. Just kind of once you get to those dead trees, kind of slide out in there. I'm gonna hang back a little ways. If we can keep the two in the brush from flushing, that would be awesome. Yeah. So there is two more in the brush, you figure? Oh yeah, there's more. There's more. I was as far up as
you can see the trees that I drug right here.
Go up in here. Slide that way.
Okay. Give me a little hand signal if something changes.
I'll just kind of over this way.
A ptarmigan's natural instinct is to flush when it senses danger. Casey is hanging back, while RL attempts to approach the bird's left flank to stay out of their line of sight. If the birds flush while RL is in range, Casey and RL will go to bed hungry again while their supper flies away. It's the afternoon of day 9 in southwest Alaska. Casey and RL are carefully approaching a group of 4 ptarmigan that are settled into the low-lying brush ahead. They're running low on fuel, and a few ounces of solid meat is just what they need to carry on. Casey is hanging back to view the big picture, while RL works to gain position. In the field, hand signals are used to communicate silently to remain undetected. It's a system that Casey and his brother Chris have perfected over the years, but tonight, Casey is relying on RL to get the job done.
Yeah, buddy. I shot over all of them. I saw one go down in there. Yeah, I think I remember him. Yeah. We'll kind of sneak in. Just they ain't go far. I watched them dive bomb right in there. So, got us one. Yeah, buddy. Your turn.
hunkered down anywhere in here. Yeah, they could be right there. Look out, watch him go down. I didn't see him go down, Joe.
Meanwhile, 50 miles to the east, Chris and Kate are still killing time with whatever conveniences they can dig out of their packs. Reading and music help to keep them sane as their hunger pains strengthen and the storm continues to intensify.
That damn tree in the way. Damn it. It'll be good. It'll be damn good.
We get that before our hike tonight?
Yeah. Yeah, you want to cook it before we go up there? Or do you want to wait and have it like as an end of day reward? That's your call. It's 4. We'll have to toss a coin. We got lots of time to think about it on the walk back. Let's go get him and get him back there. Good shooting, brother.
The calories provided by a single ptarmigan will be enough to power Casey and RL through their next scouting mission. They'll take whatever the land provides, knowing that their next meal is never a guarantee. In Alaska, fortunes can take a turn in an instant. Tomorrow is a new day that will bring new challenges and new rewards, if the land allows.
Snow and locked her door. The slightest twist of she blossomed all seesaw black. Angel framed above the bell, with a night light to shine as we climbed each creeping vine. The joy.
It's the afternoon of day 9 in southwest Alaska. Chris Keefer and Kate Panic have arrived in their new camp, flooded fort, but have remained stationary since, waiting out Mother Nature's worst. They've been socked into their Arctic tent for days, while the wind blows upwards of 40 miles per hour and the rain drives down in sheets.
Well, man, I don't know what else to do.
There's nothing we really can do.
This is multiple days in a tent, but this is Alaska,
Yeah.
the finest right here. I mean, I've seen a lot of bad storms in Alaska, but I've never been weathered in with rain and wind like we have in the last couple days.
It's just annoying. It feels like we're sitting here with our hands tied behind our back. Nothing else we can do except wait it out.
It's a mental game at this point. Like I'm kind of starting to get the tent fever, you know.
Oh, cabin fever is in full effect.
No, you know it's bad when they gotta wait her up just to go outside to take a leak.
Yep.
I mean, it's bad out there, but I don't know. I think if this weather breaks, I got the, if the weather breaks, I mean, we haven't even had a chance to hunt this place yet.
No.
But I was looking at this. This is the Trimble. And we're right on the, I mean, right where you can see my line where I marked when we flew in, where I can see elevation. So we're right here.
Yep.
You know, we just got to come off this edge right here. We can get up on that ridge. Yes. I mean, this is brutal.
Meanwhile, 50 miles to the west, Casey and RL have managed to sidestep the center of the massive storm. Their spirits have been lifted by a successful ptarmigan hunt and the sorely needed calories the bird provides.
gonna be delicious. That's what I like to see, a man who knows how to avoid the breast meat with the BBs. What's that?
You want the legs or just the breast?
Let's see what's on them. Yeah. Take everything if we can get some meat on them. Take any meat we can get right now.
The ability to process game in the field is a skill essential to survival. Casey and RL have no idea when the land will provide their next meal, so RL works carefully to salvage every scrap of the ptarmigan.
Yeah. I'm still breasting them out. I'm gonna hold that for you. Just like you're picking everything off them. It's gonna be good, man.
It's gonna be really good.
We'll have to keep our eye out in here from now on. Keep looking. I mean, amazingly enough, that's the first we've seen. You know?
They're here for a reason, so hopefully they'll come back.
Yeah, all the hiking, everything we've done. It's the first birds we've seen.
Yeah.
We'll take one. Good deal.
Okay.
Let's get out of this wind.
So far, Casey and RL haven't been given good enough reason to depart from their landing zone. The land is providing what they need to survive, and the potential for big game is enough to stay put for now. 50 miles to the east, Chris and Kate have rafted across the lake to the river's headwaters and set up a new camp called Flooded Fork. The weather has held them hostage since, making it impossible to hunt or continue downstream.
I don't know, it's annoying because I feel like we're mentally ready. It's just, we gotta wait for things to
Well,
cooperate.
that's when things start kicking in. It's like, you know, you want to go, you're dressed, ready to go, you're ready to rock. And then you're like, okay, there's a break, and then you step outside, and then another wave hits, and it's like this, where it's 40-mile-an-hour winds and pouring down rain.
Maybe we can't even start a fire. Everything's wet. It's just...
Yeah, well,
It is what it is. What can we do? Nothing.
Wait it out, man. Wait it out.
Let's just hope those other guys are having some luck.
I just hope they're not stuck in this weather.
Exactly.
Because if they're stuck in the weather that we're stuck in, then it's bad news. They should be far enough over, but I don't know how big the storm is. Obviously, it's been days, so it's a big enough front. I don't know, man.
I don't know either. What do you do?
You just leave it up to Mother Nature. Just when you think you got it, she comes swooping in and kicks our ass again.
Again.
She always does that to me.
Another day.
It's late afternoon on the 9th day in Southwest Alaska, and Casey and RL are preparing to haul their spoils back to camp for a much-needed fireside supper. In Alaska, nothing comes easy. Supper is never served on a silver platter. Casey and RL are battling the elements in everything they do. Winds of this strength make building a cooking fire difficult. But Casey and RL are beginning to work well as a team. Each man has their job, so Casey is gathering as much tinder and dry wood as possible, while RL washes the ptarmigan.
Oh, look at that. Hear that? Can you hear that?
That's the sound of meat on the grill.
Sizzle.
I love it.
Take this guy a little while to cook with this wind blowing all over, but you smoked him, man. Supper's on you tonight.
It's gonna be a nice change.
It is.
I wish I'd have gotten the other one, but we'll take this for now.
Hey, I'll take one, man. Take one over none. It's amazing what a little bit of meat can actually do.
It's like going days and days and days without seeing anything, and then all of a sudden you see something and changes your whole outlook.
Man, there they are. Kind of like that moose last night.
Changed our whole velocity.
You get discouraged after so long of, I mean, we've been hiking and hiking. That's really our story, is we're stuck in one spot and we're hiking.
Hiking and glassing, hiking and glassing.
Yep.
But you know what, now we're seeing some positive signs, and I think it's going to work.
make the best of it. And again, you know, like we talked, it only gets better from here. As the rut kicks in, the calling and everything, it should only continue to get better. So
yeah, and they're responding.
Yeah,
they're
obviously.
Responding, so.
Yeah. We'll keep giving her hell, but we got that little bit of blue sky behind us. We'll get this bird cooked up, and then we'll go back up there.
Yeah, I'm game. Yeah, let's see if we can see if we called somebody else in. And
to divide and conquer is an important strategy for Casey and RL. While RL continues to cook the ptarmigan, Casey glasses the hillside from the camp. This tactic highly increases their chances of spotting big game, ensuring the men seize every opportunity Alaska offers them.
Hey, hey, I know you're cooking that chicken, but there's a black bear right there on that hill.
Are you kidding me?
I swear, right there. He's right there. You can see him with the naked eye. See him right there?
Oh my heavens.
Oh, we're cooking a chicken, our first meat. Come on.
With a bear up ahead, Casey and RL must carefully choose the best approach. One wrong move could send the bear over the next ridge and out of range. Their intimate knowledge of the landscape tells them to work up the backside of the draw, keeping plenty of cover between them and their prey.
That point's about an hour.
That's what I hiked it there the other day. It was an hour. But we shortcut that, dude. I bet you we can be there in 45 minutes.
Chicken.
Oh,
that's a lot of meat right there.
I'll find some way to save that for an hour or two.
Okay. All right, let's roll. Let's go after it.
In Alaska, opportunities for 2 meals in one day are few and far between. Small risks can lead to huge rewards. The ptarmigan waiting at camp is a guarantee, but the potential for a bear's share of meat is worth leaving the bird behind.
We may have to readjust our game plan here. He's up above that top bush. That's my concern.
The evening is bearing down on Casey and RL's 9th day in Alaska, and the sight of a black bear in the distance has inspired a hurried stalk to get within range.
He's up above that top bush. That's my concern. He's above that top bush.
That's exactly where we sit.
Yeah, I know. So what I'm wondering is if we don't hit this mountain, side hill through that draw, get to that other side, and then side hill our way back. You know what I mean? Kind of go through it, up onto that little ridge, and then turn, as opposed to a bunch of switchbacking. Do one long side hill, one longer side hill.
Worst case scenario, he meets us halfway.
That way if he scoots the top on us, we're low enough we can come back around in this cut, you know what I mean?
Just the wind is in our favor for once.
Yeah, it couldn't be more perfect right now. It's definitely in our favor.
We just need to get up there before dark.
Yeah. Yeah, I say we take it just like this right here. Cut it right in half.
Go straight up to that single bush.
Oh, you see the tiny little bush? Tiny single one.
Oh yeah.
That one's 350 from here. So what I'm thinking is if we go to these willows right here, we just kind of cut right around those, right around that hillside right there. The only thing that poses an issue for us is those high willows that are up there, those bushes and everything.
Yeah, back off around on the skyline and
go up this draw. I say we cut it just like this for now. See what it looks like.
Let's go get him.
Casey and RL must stay vigilant as they approach the bear. At any time during the last few hundred yards of the stalk, the bear could appear again to present a shot opportunity. Casey is manning the rifle, but RL's task is no less important. He's the keeper of the rangefinder, a valuable tool to ensure Casey knows right where to place the crosshairs for a kill shot.
Done. We got some meat, buddy. Perfect shot. Death mode.
Done.
Black bear down.
Drop.
It's the evening of day 9 in Alaska, and Chris and Kate have yet to be blessed with the same fortune as their brother and father. The weather has pounded Camp Flooded Fork for days, leaving Chris and Kate no choice but to wait it out inside their Arctic oven tent. Cabin fever has set in, and their efforts to stay dry and sane have become one and the same.
We're just lucky we got this tent up in time.
We're lucky this tent's holding.
Right. She's definitely taking a beating.
She has been taking a beating. It hasn't held like this. I mean, if it hasn't broke this far, it's not going to break.
Meanwhile, 50 miles to the west, Casey has expertly placed a bullet into the vitals of an Alaskan black bear.
We got some meat, baby. Oh my goodness.
Congratulations.
I can't believe that.
Congratulations.
I can't believe how that happened.
With a bear on the ground, the hunters can focus on refueling their bodies and planning their course from here. On the other hand, 50 miles to the east, Chris and Kate have had no choice but to weather the storm. Their float across the lake has been the only real progress so far in their journey, and their energy is depleting faster than the rain is falling from the sky. Processing game in the field has become second nature for Casey when he's working alongside his brother Chris. Today, Casey is skinning his bear with a new hunting partner, and RL has seemed to seamlessly slide into the shotgun seat. An unbreakable bond is formed between hunters who conquer challenges together, and their teamwork today is a positive sign for the remaining weeks in Alaska. Casey and RL prefer to move forward in silence, and they finish the process with gratitude. This bear means much more to them than a punch tag. To Casey and RL, it means they haven't been rejected by the land. They now hold the key to survival in their hands as they head back to camp to enjoy the spoils of their hard work.
Amazing grace, what sweet a sight. See her dressed in white. I once was lost
the morning of day 13 in southwest Alaska, and the heaviest of rain clouds over Camp Flooded Fork have finally moved on. For the first time in days, Chris and Kate are able to stretch their legs and breathe the fresh Alaskan air.
Well, we finally, after 4.5 days, got a break in the action today. That was the worst rainstorm and overall low pressure system. It's still not out of here, but it was the worst I've ever seen in Alaska, being up here a long time. I mean, that was just pure hell being kept up for multiple days in the tent. Yesterday we had a bit of a panic right in the middle of everything. The water's rising so fast that we had to scramble and get the tent moved to a higher location, because this morning we would have been underwater. And we got to a spot where we thought it was going to be pretty good, and this morning it's risen about 30-40 feet. So just one of those deals where today we haven't had coffee, we haven't had anything in like 4 days. We're weak, but I'm dealing with wet driftwood and all kinds of stuff. We're just trying to manage it right now to get some fresh air, get moving again, kind of get back in routine. We lost a lot of days of hunting. We're gonna go up on that ridge back there today, and we're gonna hunt. We're gonna hunt hard for anything. We're gonna have to eat blueberries. We're gonna start picking, do anything we possibly can right now.
Meanwhile, 50 miles to the west, Casey and RL have been pounded by the same low-pressure system, but the storm has offered them a few more breaks to pursue the protein they need to survive.
The weather's still beating the snot out of us. You know, RL went for a little walk to gather up some wood when we had a little break in the weather, and bam, you know, we find a couple of bush chickens.
Come back, grab the shotgun. Casey and I went, and I was able to get one.
And we were all excited, all fired up, getting ready to eat, and next thing you know, I look up on the hill and I'm like, you know, trying to get a better look, looking at it. Oh, there's a black bear.
We sacked up the chicken and grabbed our pack slide, and up the mountain we went.
And then it started raining and everything else, and I mean, the only thing we had in our favor was the wind. We certainly didn't have the elevation in our favor. All we had was the wind. But we played it right.
Casey was able to get a shot off. I was excited for Casey. Casey had mentioned that he'd never shot an Alaskan black bear before, so he had the rifle, and it was incredible to see the expression on his face and the satisfaction.
So far, Casey and RL's landing zone has offered them the hunting opportunities they need to live, so they haven't yet begun their float down the river toward the rendezvous point. 50 miles to the east, Chris and Kate have been living on one duck and as many blueberries as they could forage after arriving at their new camp, Flooded Fork. The multiple days of rain have pushed the river to flood stage and forced Chris and Kate to move off the banks to stay dry.
Been stuck in this tent for so long, finally got out. The rain has finally stopped, but man, I know Chris is out looking for some firewood. It's all pretty damp, I'm sure. This is like an uphill battle, but coffee is a necessary thing when you've been cooped up in tent crazy there for a little while. So as soon as this thing goes real good, get some coffee in our bellies and get to finding some moose, hopefully. It's taken me a long time just to get this. Hopefully we can keep it going though. Fingers crossed.
The Alaskan elements are unpredictable, and they've left Chris and Kate with a challenging reboot ahead of them. Chris knows that their days may be numbered at Camp Flooded Fork if it doesn't offer the nourishment they need to survive. But the river has plans of its own for Chris and Kate. It's the morning of day 13 in southwest Alaska. Chris Keefer and Kate Panic are coming alive again after going hungry in the Arctic oven for 4 days straight.
epic proportions, I gotta say. I've been in Alaska a long time. I've been up here a lot. I have never seen a storm like that. To endure 50-mile-an-hour winds, gusts higher than that.
You know, it's awesome to be out of the tent finally and have a chance to actually get out and hunt this place. We've been dying to for the past couple days, and we've been stuck in a tent in a hellacious rainstorm.
This morning, got up early, and when I realized there was no rain hitting the tent, it was like, oh, it's a godsend. So we came out here. There's a lot of cloud cover coming through, but it finally gives us an opportunity to hunt this place.
It's frustrating, you know. High waters now. We don't know if we can raft.
I love being out here. I love Alaska, but when Mother Nature and Alaska start kicking your ass, they are serious. They're serious.
After a warm coffee recharge, Chris and Cade have headed to a high ridge behind camp to begin glassing for moose. The moose hunting season is winding down, and valuable hunting time has been washed downstream with the high waters. Chris knows that they have to keep scouring for whatever nourishment Alaska will offer them, but in the back of his mind, he's thinking about how they're going to get out of this situation when the time comes.
I was just out here glassing and kind of went for a walk. And there's good news and bad news. Good news is I found this, which is a marking right here, which looks to me like it's a strip, like they can land up here. So that's the good news, is they can get a plane in here. I'm looking at this, it's easy long enough to get a Helios in. The bad news is we're not very far in our journey, and with this river the way it is right now, it's at flood stage. And the last thing I'm going to do is go rowing down, and nothing against Cade. He's a great kid and I'm sure that he could do it, but you know, Casey and I have done rivers like this and got into trouble, and we're both experienced oarsmen, and I just don't want to throw him the second time he's ever rowed into a river that's flooding. So we got a big decision to make. If we stay here, the good news is we have an extraction point. We can call, we can see forever. So we got some advantages, but I don't know, this rain just screwed everything up. I didn't know it was here, but I do have a sat phone that I will call in the coordinates and just make sure that this could be a part where we can get extracted. We got a lot of time, maybe the river will go down, but at this point, it's really nice to know that this camp has a high extraction point up on this ridge, and it's definitely long enough to get a plane in here. Seen anything?
Not too much, just watching the tree line.
I didn't see anything back there either, but I did find on the top there's a spot marked like with a caribou shed, and it looks like it's marked like a runway.
That's a big plus.
Yeah. So bonus is this water doesn't go down and we can't row any further. I mean, we'd have to cross some serious ground with everything, but at least we got a place to get out. I mean, we're dwindling on days fast.
For sure.
But I don't know, man. I think if we just keep calling here, we can see forever. It's hard to give up this elevation too, you know?
Exactly. I mean, if you look downriver, you can't. There's not really any elevation.
No, that's what I'm worried about. You know, I want to get into the timber just as much as the next guy, but at the same time, you know, I don't want to leave a spot where we could see all the way through the timber.
It just seems pretty senseless to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Especially when we got a spot to get out.
Have you called in a while? Have you tried calling?
No, I haven't really tried calling much.
Yeah? You're a whirl?
Think I should?
Yeah. Let her buck.
I've been listening to you.
Oh, let her buck. Close her nose on like that, a little nasally. Let her buck. Pretty good.
Been listening, you know?
You nailed it.
It's day 13 in southwest Alaska, and after locating a potential runway close to camp, Chris is using the sat phone to call in the coordinates. With the river at flood stage, this stretch of high ground may be the only possible extraction point Chris and Cade can access.
Hey Nate, it's Chris Keefer calling from Dropped. How you doing? Good. I just calling to check in with you guys. See, I gave you those coordinates to see if you guys have talked about that, or if anybody knew if they're going to try and fly it. Or
Meanwhile, 50 miles to the west, the heavy rains have left Casey and RL with high waters of their own. A routine run to the river to gather drinking water revealed that the banks have all but disappeared, and the river has escalated to unraftable speeds.
Holy that was almost calm water when we moved in here a week, 10 days ago. All that rain coming down here and has risen. This is nuts. I think it's probably a good idea. We decided to stay here and just call from here and hunt. It's our daily chore, come down here and get water to make coffee and keep our bellies warm while we're calling for moose. Hopefully they'll come into camp. Go back and tell Casey I didn't see any fish in that hole. Maybe we'll rock, paper, scissors. Make him come down next time.
Chris's sat phone is his last line of defense if things go south in the bush. It gives him the ability to call for rescue and relay his GPS coordinates if lost.
Just got off the phone with the hangar. I wanted to let them know about the coordinates and where that runway is that I found, and see if they could have somebody fly over top and get a look at it and see if they feel comfortable landing there. Right now I'm in this big dilemma. I don't know what to do because I've got 5 days left in season. We've got a high river that has totally screwed us big time. I feel bad for Cade because I feel like he's getting, ripped off in the fact that Mother Nature just kicked the out of us here in the last 4 days. And so I want to get him down the river and I want to, give him the full experience, but at the same time, we've got the river has come up 50 feet on the bank. We can't row. And so I've got an extraction point here that I found. I know in 5 days we can do that. It's just it's a decision time right now, and it sucks because if I decide I'm going to move down, it could be another 30 miles of high river, and I don't know where I can get out down there. So I know I can get out here. We'll lose a day if we row. I mean, I'm literally, my head's spinning right now. But I gave the guys the coordinates, and they're going to hopefully in the next couple of days, 2 days or so, if they're out here, they're going to fly it and just double check it.
Literally been rain for going on like 5 days now. We had that little break in the middle. I was able to kill that black bear, but it's frustrating as hell, but it is what it is. You can control a lot of things, you can't control the weather.
Survival in Alaska depends on a hunter's ability to take advantage of every opportunity the land offers him. For Casey and RL, that means rising with the sun as soon as the weather breaks to continue their hunt and take the time to properly care for the meat they've already earned.
I decided to come out here first thing this morning and I want to get some of this meat carved up so we can actually have some good solid protein. I try and get it carved up and hopefully we'll get it on the fire because we got to cook it really well done. So you can actually, they say you can get trichinosis from bear meat, similar to pork, if you don't cook it really well done. So I've got a little meat thermometer that I have with me that I take on all my trips. I'm constantly checking the temperature of the meat, trying to keep it in the low 40s. As long as you can keep your meat nice and cool, you can actually keep it for a long time. That's kind of the plan. But I've also got citric acid with me that I always bring on my trips as well. Mix it with water, spray it on the meat. Helps to create a good solid crust on the outside of the meat to keep the flies and everything from penetrating. And then when it comes time to eat, you just shave that thin layer off.
Trichinosis is caused by the parasite Trichinella and can be contracted if the wild bear meat isn't cooked thoroughly. Once viable Trichinella cysts are ingested, they can develop into adult worms within just 5 days, which could make Casey and RL extremely ill. It's the evening of day 13 in southwest Alaska. As the sun sets, Casey Keefer and RL Panic are stoking the fire and heating up the grill for a hard-earned campfire-cooked bear meat supper.
Oh wow, that is money.
That's good. That's hot, but it's good.
That is money. It looks like a lot there.
Yep.
But not really.
Not when you're starving.
In Alaska, a hunter's next meal is never guaranteed. Casey and RL have been through the ringer so far this trip, so to go to bed with a full stomach is a real reward for their struggles. Tomorrow is a new day that will bring new challenges and hopefully new triumphs.
Tent life sucks. There's only so many days and you can sit still in a tent.
Blue sky and sunshine. Pretty good way to start off the day here. After what we've been through. Tent life. It sucks.
See, it's such a beautiful double rainbow.
How about it? Finally get out here. We get all the way up here. Sit out the first squall, and now we got a big double rainbow.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. As ugly as it is up here sometimes, it's still beautiful. He's laying right here on the edge of this meadow, Sam. So hard to tell if he's legal though. Yeah, I don't know. I know the one was headed this way for sure, and the other one I couldn't tell. That was a hole coming across. I'm gonna see if I can get him to stand up. I'm gonna grunt at him. Okay, go ahead. Oh, there he is. There you go. Yeah, not as a drought time, I don't think so. They're on the left side, see? 1, 2, 3. 3 on his left, 2 on his right. Yeah, with this. Oh, right. It's unreal. That other bull's gotta be around here somewhere. He's definitely not legal brow time wise. Wish I had my spotting scope, but he's definitely not legal brow wise.
Just as quickly as Mother Nature presents opportunities in the bush, she can strip them away. They say sunshine follows behind every storm, but sometimes in Alaska, the sunshine doesn't stick around long enough for the land to bear fruit. This isn't a camping trip, it's a moose hunt. Brothers Chris and Casey Keefer and father and son duo RL and Cade Panic are all beginning to realize their days may be numbered if Alaska doesn't cut them a bigger break soon.
Times are changing. Now I'm getting tired of just blowing in the wind. I have traveled.
Amazing grace, what sweet sight. See her dressed in white. I once was lost, but now I'm found through her amazing grace and a soft cotton lace.
It's the morning of day 16 in southwest Alaska. Chris and Cade are still recovering from the beating they've taken over the past 4 days. They are finally able to spend time outside their tent. The Alaskan moose season is winding down, and if they can't locate a legal bull soon, their time in the bush will be cut short. Today, they're reminded how quickly things can change in Alaska.
Just call and figure it out, you know?
Yeah, I'm gonna start watching.
Bull right there. Just stood up. Holy sh! Right there. See him? What is he?
I can't get brow tines on. He's in the brush.
What is he? Was not expecting that. Okay, hold on. I can't see his brows, but man, he's wide. See if I can get him to come closer. He's gotta be able. He just stood up, see?
Yeah.
He's moving to the left. Hold on. He just stopped. He just stopped. He's standing right there. Man, that's a good look. That threw me for a loop, buddy. Big time. Like, huge. No idea.
What's the game plan?
I don't know. This wind is messing us big time. I don't want him to go to the river, though. If he goes to the river, we're going to have to cut him off.
Right.
He's looking for us right now. Just stay tucked in as much as you can. Yeah, he's tucked in. That's a good bull.
You just bed right there?
Yeah, he was just bed. I was just... Hell, it wasn't even set yet when I called. He just stood up. Surprised the out of me. That's what we wanted to do. See, we called here all day yesterday, and he ended up coming in here some point last night or this morning. Oh, my goodness.
We just stay here and wait him out, or what do we do?
No. Let's just see if he beds up again. If he does, he's not too interested in the cow call. I mean, it stood him up, but he hasn't moved. With the way our wind's going right now, we could drop down this hill, get on that next knoll, and we gotta be within 100, 150 yards, I'd imagine, maybe 150 yards. And then we can just let our scent go down in there. He'll stand up. And when he stands up, we can just pound him. What do you think about that?
Let's try it, man.
Let's just see what he does here. Hold on a second. He just kind of turned around in that big brush. All right, dude, he's bedded up right there. I say we've bedded up. Let's move. We go down here, hit that ridge right there, but we gotta kind of groove after it. Let's do it. Ready? Yeah. Just gonna put it in. Yeah, let's go.
While the bull is bedded down, Chris and Cade will drop down into the nearest draw, then work their way back up to the top of a neighboring ridge.
We gotta be quiet going across that stuff.
They'll be directly upwind of the bull, which is usually something they would try to avoid, but it's their only feasible approach, so Chris is hoping their scent will inspire the bull to stand up, offering them an in-range shot opportunity.
Get up top.
Chris and Cade have been surviving on nothing but some duck meat and wild blueberries. The sorely needed nourishment of this bull moose would provide the strength they need to make it out of Alaska alive. It's the morning of day 16 in southwest Alaska. Chris and Cade spent yesterday belting cow cries from camp. A bull moose has answered their calls and entered their territory. They've made their final approach.
He's over 50. Yeah. Just hold on.
chest. See his antlers. Okay, hold on. Yeah, just wait. The guy's pretty confident he's over 52. It looks like he's way over 50 to me. I'm trying to see if it's a can because of the branches. Nice easy breaths. Take your time. We're on him now. Just relax and get situated. We got time. He's got 3 out on that left side. Damn, he looks like he's over 50. He's trying to hear over that stream too. They don't have good vision. Okay, ready? Yeah. Hold on. Okay, ready, buddy? He turns here. He's gonna turn. He's gonna come around that side of the bush right there. When he comes around that side of the bush. Get ready, buddy. Okay. All right, hold on. Okay. Ready? Take him. Put one in him. Missed him. Take your time. He's far, man. And he is not slowing down. Well, that's the end of that story. Damn it. Had all the right cards in place, I guess. This wasn't meant to be. That gun's gotta be off. Poor Cade. That sucks. Yeah, that sucks bad.
As if the beating from Mother Nature wasn't enough, Chris and Cade now have to walk back to camp wondering what happened and where their next meal will come from.
Well, I don't know what to say about what just happened. Poor Cade. Guy gets a bull of a lifetime in front of him like that, and that fiasco happens. Man, I had tenderloin in my tummy. I was thinking about hero shots. I was so excited for him, and
Gotta hand it to us today. Not gonna lie, just there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, I had the bull of a lifetime. You know, I'm on the trip of a lifetime. I had him. It was a chip shot, 160 yards, and
that stock couldn't have worked out any better. We got a perfect grassy knoll on him. Got up on him, 160 yards. Just gun's gotta be off. It's gotta be off.
It's the evening of day 16 in southwest Alaska, and Casey Keefer and R.L. Panic are fixing to eat another camp-cooked bear meat supper from Casey's recent kill. They've been able to refuel their bodies to maintain a grueling pace, but frustration is building on their lack of success otherwise. As moose season winds down, their chances of spotting and stalking a mature bull are quickly disappearing. As they continue to take the measures necessary for survival, they can't help but wonder why the life seems to have been sucked out of this valley, and whether or not they made the right decision to stay.
Starting to get really, really frustrated. We feel like our hands are tied. Only so much we can do here.
Day 16 comes to a close. Another uneventful day, another rainy morning. This valley just seems like it emptied out. I mean, we were seeing piles of caribou, lots of bears. There's 2 bulls right outside of camp. I mean, everything. It's just, and now it's just, seems like it's empty.
We looked at the landscape, possibly headed south tomorrow, just so that, you know what, if we was to stumble onto one, we could at least float that thing down river to camp.
50 miles to the east, Chris and Kate have spotted something that made them forget about the missed moose for a short while.
We're gonna tag team this one. There's 3 ducks that we just found in this little eddy down here. Just getting some water and looked over. But it's deep, so Cade's gonna wait her up. I'm gonna shoot. That way if they start to go down, he can go in and grab them. Man, I really hope we get some duck. We're gonna get some protein in our bellies.
You shoot?
Yeah, just put your waders on. Let's roll.
To conserve shells, Chris will attempt to save his shot until the ducks are in a row, allowing him to kill 2 ducks with 1 touch of the trigger. He's using the cover of the low riverbank willows to gain position. Kate is close behind, prepared to retrieve the meat when the smoke clears. Three ducks float lifeless, with only 2 shotgun shells spent. Their breaths will be just what Chris and Kate need to put the moose fever behind them and charge forward for the coming days of Alaska's unknowns.
There he is. There's the 3rd one right there. That's 3 duck breasts, 3 chicken duck McNuggets a piece right there. That's huge.
That's good eating.
Yeah, these are good eating right here. Perfect, man.
Nice shooting.
Hey, nice work.
Yeah,
Thanks.
rock on.
All right. Let's get them breasted and get the tent stoked up. Tomorrow morning we eat good.
That's right.
It's a new day in southwest Alaska, and as the clouds roll overhead, Casey and Arrell take comfort in a hot cup of coffee as they begin to determine how they get off this roller coaster when the time comes.
Back at the fire for another cup of coffee, man.
This is, wait 5 minutes and the weather changes.
Yeah, I know. Hasn't exactly been ideal for the last, going on what, 6 days now?
It was crazy.
Just rain.
Short sleeve to rain jacket to winter wear.
I know.
All within an hour.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say all within a day, yeah. Yeah, an hour's more like it.
So what do you think we ought to do today?
I don't know, I definitely need to keep calling for sure. But I'd like to go down, see if I can find some fish. And we got that bear meat that we've had, but it'd be nice to see if we could switch it up, maybe with this high water.
This should be a nice change, I think.
Yeah. Especially because I don't think there's any reason for us to move from right here. I mean, we've got probably at least a 7-8 day solid float. But with the water coming up the way it's come up and everything else with all that rain, and I just don't think it's worth it. What do you think?
I'm a little nervous about, you know, sweepers have changed, and I mean, downfall that we've seen go down the, might be a pretty big risk.
Yeah, we saw those two bulls right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't leave what you got.
Yeah.
If you're seeing animals.
Yeah, don't leave moose to find moose. They're around here somewhere. We just gotta find them.
Meanwhile, 50 miles to the east, Chris and Kate are welcoming their 17th day in Alaska with fire-grilled duck breast for breakfast. They've grown weak and weary. The letdown of a failed moose hunt has dampened their spirits, but a protein-rich breakfast is just what they need to refuel and refocus.
Some meat in our bellies, coffee in our bellies, and a little sun. It could be a whole big game changer.
Just the sun coming out of the clouds, the morale boost.
I know, it feels good. It's 5 seconds. I think it's 5 seconds worth of clouds that move out of the way. I got a face scrub in this morning.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
I got mine in yesterday. It's like you're a whole new dude.
I just couldn't handle it anymore. I had to get a scrub in. It is exhilarating. Cold too. Did your head hurt? My head hurt like when I was done.
Oh man, my face was numb, completely numb.
Sometimes in Alaska, the ability to enjoy something new, something you haven't seen the comfort of in a long time, is enough to change your perspective. For Casey, a bit of fresh salmon would make a world of difference.
Gotta try and find some salmon. I was really counting on there being salmon in here. And there's 0.
But not every want and need is provided by Alaska. It's a harsh reality that the hunters have been reminded of over and over during this hunt.
So why go on? Why go searching? Every step takes us the wrong direction. Contradictions.
Tired, hungry, and weak are all physical states that Casey, RL, Chris, and Cade must push through while hunting to live in Alaska. But isolation and loneliness are the silent symptoms that impact them the most. All 4 of them have families back home who miss them. While longing for loved ones, small setbacks become major obstructions. It takes mental toughness to see past that and continue charging toward extraction.
That tastes like just like a piece of steak.
To be unplugged from civilization for weeks would be nearly impossible without the little victories along the way.
You live and you learn.
It's the morning of day 17 in southwest Alaska. Chris and Kate are replacing spent calories with a campfire-cooked duck breast breakfast, afforded by Chris's sharp shooting.
Good. Oh. That tastes like a piece of steak.
With the end of moose season bearing down on them, Their major operative today is to investigate their rifle for flaws, with hopes to find reasoning for Cade's missed shots.
Well, that was a great treat this morning to get a little duck in our bellies. That's a big confidence booster out here.
It wasn't like a moose or anything, but it's funny how a little duck breast here and there will kind of keep you going.
I feel like I got to keep Cade kind of focused today. I feel like he's doing all right, but I know he's just playing that shot over and over in his head.
I haven't slept good for, ever since the miss. It's haunted me.
There's a reason. Everything happens for a reason. There's a reason we did it. We'll just have faith that, we're in the right position at the right time. We did everything right.
Today we should be able to kind of dig deeper and kind of investigate in the gun a little bit.
Meanwhile, 50 miles to the west, Casey Keefer and R.L. Panic are waking with a precise mission at hand. Today, they travel deep into moose territory with hopes for a close-range encounter with a rutting bull. Casey and RL's tactics of glassing and calling from camp isn't cutting it this late in the season. As time runs out, they've made the decision to apply the pressure and get aggressive in their methods. They're charging through the brush to see what reactions they can get on a bull moose's level.
Not fresh, but we're on the right track. When it's real fresh, it's green. Still green. Let's just keep rolling this thing out.
Rutting bulls leave a musky scent in their wake as they plow through thick brush, communicating to other bulls and cows that the territory is taken. Casey and RL use the same clues to determine the freshness of moose signs during the rut.
Doesn't smell like nice fresh. The freshest we've seen so far. Fresh track. Big fresh track, yeah. Getting moose here. It means I'm getting happier. Yeah, my heart's beating a little faster. Makeshift raft or something in there. Back in the mining days. This is moose heaven right here. Yeah. It's a good thing. Looks like he ate well. Yeah, something furry anyway. There's a lot of fiber right there. So we're pretty close to a mile and a half in right now. We started down here. About, I'd say that's pretty close to a half mile there. We got a mile all the way through there and a little more. So, and that is going to be that ridge right there. And there's, see that creek coming in there? And it looks like there might be a beaver pond or some sort of little small lake or something right there.
Yeah, that's him. Well, this is the plane. I called him to come check these coordinates, and I also asked him to bring in some ammo because we got to check this gun. So I'm hoping he's either going to airdrop this ammo. We cleared a strip for him. I don't know if he's going to land right here. He's got a small plane.
Windows open, he's dropping.
In the wilds of Alaska, the ability to depend on your gear and your partner is paramount. This ammunition drop allows Chris and Cade to investigate and solve their firearm problems, revitalizing their hope for success.
Godsend in a box. Huge game changer.
It's the afternoon of day 17 in Alaska. Casey and RL are charging deeper into prime moose territory in search of a rutting bull. The signs surround them, but the clues tell them they may be hiking a few too many steps behind the bull that runs this ground.
Just about as far as we can comfortably go on foot, man.
Well, enough time to get back.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. We push much further than this. Plus that weather right down there doesn't exactly look friendly.
No, you could see that mountaintop about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. But it's a good looking area though, isn't it?
Beaver pond.
A lot of water.
Nice little willows.
Yeah.
This is Moose Haven.
Buckbrush, willows. It's funny because coming through there, we stopped, we looked at all those broken branches in there. I mean, they rut in there at some point, or have. You know, none of that looked super fresh, but obviously there's been moose rutting in there.
Meanwhile, Chris and Kate are searching for closure on a question that's been haunting Kate for days. What happened when he missed the bull of a lifetime?
Okay, so it's hitting way right. This scope, I mean, the good news is it's off.
Yeah.
So the scope is missing a screw right here. Somehow something backed out and this bad boy is so crooked on here. So now we gotta move it. We'll move the scope to where it was and see if we can get it shooting again.
If nothing else, knowing the scope was off gives Chris and Kate some satisfaction and the renewed confidence they need to continue their hunt.
How's your eye?
Yeah, I took a really good whack. Actually, it hurts pretty bad. I can't, it's not double vision like it was at first, but nothing is in focus with it. Yeah, I'll just glass and call. Hopefully something decides to pop out and show itself.
You have to throw your sexy call on?
I got the sexy call ready to rock and roll.
Right on.
For Casey and RL, their confidence is draining with every unfruitful step and every unanswered call. They grow more weary with every mile traveled without the promise of a bull moose.
All right, well, we're getting close now. It was way off. This gun was like 4 foot. I mean, the scope was somehow in between all the airlines traveling and the raft. This screw worked itself out. We didn't notice it, and it's off. So it's coming back right now, though. All right, this should be the last one. Smoked the rock, didn't I? Just right of it. All right.
Good enough.
She's right there, man. We know it's at 150 yards. It's maybe 2 inches,
right.
2 inches right now. And I don't want to have to waste any more ammunition. I think we are in good shape.
Makes me feel better that the gun was off for one, but two, we got it back straightened out and we have 2 days left.
Now I feel confident going back out there, but I don't know. I don't know what happened along the way, but something really jacked this guy up. It had, I mean, just with all that travel, but visually it looked fine, you know, so I don't know. I think, but once I saw that it was a clean miss on that broadside shot, I thought, oh boy.
Yeah, we were in trouble.
Either I'm dealing with a Wyatt Earp over here, or we're in trouble, and I'm glad it was the gun.
Me too.
It's the evening of day 17 in southwest Alaska. Casey and RL continue their aggressive search for a rutting bull moose. As the season's end rapidly approaches, the chances of an up-close encounter begin to dwindle. But as long as there is light over their hunt and a moose tag to fill, Casey and RL will press on. Casey belts out yet another cow cry of desperation, hoping a nearby bull gives some sort of response. He's exhausted every tool in his arsenal in his efforts to pique a bull's interest. As the sun steadily continues to settle behind the ridges, Casey rakes the brush to mimic the sound of a moose's antlers plowing through.
We decided to slip down here and give a couple of calls. This is where we were calling from yesterday. They were kind of up on the side hill, I guess. Probably trying to get a little bit of elevation so that they can hear. See if they can try to pinpoint a call. We're just gonna hang tight here. See if we can draw one, if not both of them in. If so, third leg home. It's close enough to the end, we're gonna give him a smack down.
Meanwhile, 50 miles to the east, Chris and Kate are back on the hunt after fixing their scope and sighting in their rifle. They found a high vantage point to glass and call from. While glassing from higher ground, Chris has spotted a potential source of sustenance in the cold river below. It's an opportunity that he can't let swim away. The salmon are stacked up in an eddy, a whirlpool created by a circular movement of water, opposite of the main current. The salmon are waiting for the bait fish, or in Chris's case, a well-placed streamer that naturally flow into the eddies throughout the river system.
Down there. I mean, at this point, I don't care how bad they are, we're eating. Get two of those, we can eat nicely.
As the 17th day in the bush draws to a close, Casey and RL are left wondering what happened to the life that greeted them when they arrived just over 2 weeks ago. Early on, the signs were strong, and Casey and RL committed to stay at this camp. Today tells a different story, as the weary travelers only see signs of opportunities pass by. Meanwhile, 50 miles to the east, Chris and Kate's fortunes are beginning to take a turn for the better. With one salmon on shore, Chris is swinging a streamer with hopes to land a second.
Up in this back eddy. Hey, you want to fight it? I can go down if you want to fight it.
Well, it doesn't matter to me.
You got him?
Yeah.
Sweet. That's 2 salmon.
That's huge.
That's fishing, baby, right there. That's food in our bellies.
Oh, cheerio.
Boom. Boy, I'm glad we saw these fish from up top. Like, sighted them, you know, sight fishing them. I didn't think they'd still be in here, but they are. We got food now. Kate and I have been up on this hillside and kind of glassed them down here and saw a couple fish in here, and right at this point we're starving. So we decided to come back and get them. Good job, bud.
Oh, nice fish.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh, we're good, man. It's a little spawned out, but hey, at this point I don't care how mushy it is, it's food. We'll just cook it good. We'll cook it nice and... Oh, we gotta eat now. Duck this morning and fish for dinner. I mean, what's going on around here? Now we got 4 slabs.
I know.
That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner tomorrow.
You better believe it.
Beautiful thing.
Mother Nature has a way of finding balance. Those who wish to experience her at her best must be able to handle her at her worst. From taking a beating by bitter rain and punishing winds to earning multiple meals in a single day. From sidestepping the eye of the storm long enough to fill your cache with black bear meat, to hiking for miles without finding a single fresh sign of life. While hunting to live in Alaska, the entire spectrum is experienced. The travelers who press on when they grow weary are the travelers who will really find what it means to be alive. It's the evening of day 19 in southwest Alaska, and the brutal weather has finally relented long enough for Chris and Kate to spend some time outside of their Arctic oven tent. The salmon Chris plucked from the stream yesterday are nearing the end of their life cycle and losing their texture. A spawned-out salmon slab is no moose tenderloin, and with just 1 day left in the season, Chris and Kate are running out of time to find the red meat protein they crave.
Fleshy? Mm-hmm. So just want to make sure it's cooked all the way. It looks like it's pretty even.
Yeah.
It's not clear.
Not bad at all.
No, that's actually really good.
Yeah.
Good? Yeah.
I was a little worried when you told me that you don't have to worry about them being spawned out and stuff, but doesn't seem too bad.
You cook anything long enough. That'll do, brother. That'll do.
Yes, sir.
Meanwhile, 50 miles to the west, Casey and RL are preparing for a nightcap of their own.
Casey's gone to get our needed water, check for fish, roaring fire together, and gotta carve some bear meat. So, feel pretty lucky that we was able to harvest that bear for our dinners. We're gonna make a plan once we get a full belly about what we're gonna do tomorrow.
Casey and RL haven't abandoned base camp to this point, so they're continuing to take the necessary measures for survival. Red meat recharges, and a constant supply of fresh water keep them going through the cold nights and demanding days. The slack water salmon that were stacked into the river near camp have charged upstream, leaving Casey and RL behind to enjoy yet another helping of bear meat. The daily grind has become routine for Casey and RL as they continue to become more efficient as a team. No matter how many grilled bear meat meals they share in a row, they never grow tired of the bounty bestowed upon them. They've seen enough of Alaska's worst to appreciate every morsel the bush provides.
Never gets old. 5-star. 5-star.
As time winds down in Alaska, the possibility of rendezvousing at the halfway mark is rapidly washing downstream with the floodwaters. There's still 2 days left of moose season, which means one more opportunity to be alive in the quest to fill a moose tag.
Well, yesterday was a productive day. It wasn't the lucky 18 that I've had in the past, but it was a productive day.
I would definitely say the biggest win was the fact that we got that gun sighted back in. Thank God.
The gun was shooting 6 feet to the right, so it's not Kate's fault by any means. It looks like a screw came loose on the mounts.
It's a double-edged sword. You think, you know, like it's awesome. I can sleep better at night just knowing that it's not my fault. But at the same time, I don't have my bull.
Feel confident now that we can go back out with it and use it if we need to. He's been carrying the bow around. Of course, we'd love to get the moose and bow distance, you know, but this terrain isn't very bow friendly.
And we can only hope for things to get better, but at the same time, you know, like a little piece of metal that was that big cost me a bull of a lifetime, you know, but that's how things go.
You know, we saw some salmon from up top when we were glassing, and immediately went back and I broke out the 8-weight and went for it, and we ended up picking up a couple hens out of there. I don't normally like to keep the hens, but in a situation like this, when their food and their protein, it's time to catch them.
We got to eat duck in the morning, and then we turned around and caught some salmon in the evening. So it was nice to have 2 good, solid protein meals.
Cooked one last night, but we still got some fillets left, which is great because we can kind of spread those out over the next several days.
2 days left in the season, and it's 2 more days full of opportunity. So we're going to take it as we can get it.
We're dwindling down on time, and you know, again, just trying to stay positive. You know, just trying to stay positive and shake everything that's happened so far. This weather is not breaking.
Hopefully the weather stays clear enough to where we can keep hunting, and we're going to do it.
It's the morning of day 20 in southwest Alaska, and as the sun rises over the distant mountain peaks, the primary focus on the minds of Casey and RL remains their search for a legal bull. Just as they have for the past 3 weeks, the men start their morning with a shot of coffee and a close look at the surrounding terrain. Before embarking on one of the last hunts of the trip, RL enjoys some PSE practice time, while Casey continues to glass, hoping to spot a moose worth stalking. For the first time, Casey has tackled the untamed Alaskan wilderness without the added insurance of having his brother Chris by his side. Although the new experience came with uncertainty,
not too bad, man. Thinking like right here.
Casey and RL quickly became a team, trusting each other to do what's needed to make it out of the bush alive. Respect for each other was the default, and they quickly began to confide in and count on one another. There were a few things that Casey had to help RL with as the days went on. Hailing from Utah, RL's salmon fishing experience was limited, so he leaned on Casey to guide him through the swift North Country River as they searched for food. But RL's natural instincts were not to be discounted. He's a seasoned hunter who came to the bush to do more than survive. After all, RL is already a survivor. He came here to be alive, and he made the most of every moment in Alaska. Casey's trust in his new partner was tested as he stared down the scope at what would be his first Alaskan black bear. He leaned on RL much like he does his brother Chris, and it earned them enough meat to survive the coming weeks in the wilderness.
Let's go 220.
Black bear down.
You know, of all the drops that we've ever done in Alaska, I've carried black bear tags every year. This is the first season that I've ever seen a black bear actually in Alaska, which is just mind-blowing when you think about it. I've seen piles of grizzlies, but this is the first year I've ever seen black bears here, so.
"50 miles to the east, Chris and Kate have been through their fair share of ups and downs. They're back on the ridge for the second to last day of moose season, with another attempt to salvage the trip with a close-range encounter. Chris too has had to rely on someone other than his brother to make it through weeks of unpredictable Alaskan elements.
Holy hell. Here's ways like you got a cadaver in here.
Luckily for Chris, Kay brought his eagerness to the bush with him and a desire to learn all that Chris had to teach. Although Kay had spent many years hunting alongside his father, rafting was all new to him. It was sink or swim time when Chris and Kay had to move their base camp to the opposite side of a remote lake. Cade embraced every new opportunity to be alive in the wilderness, not knowing what each new day had in store for him.
Looks like a big grizz with 2 cubs. So she's on the other side of the lake, which is good, but we're just hoping that she doesn't get curious with those cubs and bring them over here, because the last thing we want to do is have to scare her away, or worst possible scenario is DOL, which is a defensive life, and that's not what we want to do.
He got a front seat lesson of Mother Nature's stronghold on the North Country when a relentless storm pounded Camp Flooded Fork for days.
Put another one right in him. Missed him.
An equipment failure caused him to miss the bull of his dreams.
Where'd he go? He's in the back. Yeah, I see him.
And he became his own definition of be alive when his heart, desire, time, and effort pushed him forward to try and earn just one more shot opportunity. It's day 21 in southwest Alaska, and the final day of moose season has arrived. With unfilled tags in their pockets, Casey and RL have decided to divide and conquer to increase their chance of a close-range encounter. Casey is calling from camp with hopes to lure a bull into range, while RL hikes to a higher vantage point to get a better view of the terrain.
Go up here to our plateau, do a little calling, looking around, maybe work our way up one of them fingers and see if we can't lure a bruiser in and change our extraction date.
RL's entire Alaskan moose season comes down to one final hike and glass mission. He's no stranger to climbing tall peaks to see what lies ahead. He's been hiking toward higher ground since that one fateful March day that changed his life forever and taught him the true definition of be alive.
Well, we walked in there, and by midnight, 12:30, right in that area, they came back and said that I had a brain tumor on the right side of my head. It came back as it was cancerous, which was a shock, but you know what? There again, head on. Let's take care of it. Let's get it done. So oddly enough, as I was going through treatment, I get the same phone call from my folks to me, and my dad has cancer. He didn't fare so well. They started him on chemo, and he passed away, unfortunately, which was really tough because, you know, my dad was my hero. I carry my dad with me. He's right here. 2 weeks before we were set to climb on a plane to get here, my daughter was involved in an ATV accident. She was T-boned by a car. The car was doing approximately 40 miles an hour, and sent her up and over the car, and she had to be life flighted and was in neuro ICU for 5 days. She was released a week before we came here, and she told me to come up here, knowing that I could be gone up to 30 days. So we jump on a plane. Here we are. Look at that dude. That is something to see. He's going upstream. He's looking at all the little coveys looking for fish. That is cool. You don't see that, but just it's undescribable. There's two moose coming around that island. They got their noses up, see, and they want to make sure that they stay downwind from him for sure. Maybe there'd be more than just that cow and a calf come out of there.
Meanwhile, 50 miles to the east, Chris and Kate have returned to high ground in an attempt to finish moose season on a positive note. On this final day of moose season, they're greeted by a traveling herd of caribou. This has been a season of firsts for Cade Panic. He was no stranger to backwoods living, but he dove in head first when he left his father's side to enter into the unknown with Chris. He quickly had to learn how to control the bow of a raft when they pushed off toward the horizon in search of a new base camp. He caught his first salmon and earned himself a once-in-a-lifetime shot at the bull of his dreams. He took one on the chin when he missed the bull, but he got back up and lived to hunt another day.
He figures he's gonna walk right up to 80 yards.
Man, he's a nice bull too.
Oh, well. Our Alaska trip comes to an end on the wrong kind of bull. Head back to camp.
Let's do it.
Closing day of moose season. We're officially mooseless at this point. RL stuck it out until the very end today. You know, he went for a hike back behind us up that draw that we've been up a dozen times probably. And he saw 2 grizzlies, 2 cows, and 2 calves.
You know, I was sure hoping tonight it would have been a Cinderella story that, you know, that cow and that calf came out and a legal bull would have popped out, and boy, that would have just changed the whole game.
We got to live the last 20 days of our lives in Alaska, playing by our own rules, doing what we love to do. If you ask me, that's being alive.
So why go on? Why go searching? Every step you take seems the wrong direction. The contradiction to your decisions. A progress set in motion begins within a core. Achievements are sweeter with a taste of struggle. One man cringes at another man's comfort. And when your battle's won and your burden's conquered, you live and you learn. You live and you learn.
Journey is pretty much over. Sitting on the landing strip waiting for a plane to come pick me up and get me out of no man's land for sure.
We learned a lot this trip. I learned that Alaska's in control. I learned that Mother Nature's in control. And I learned that God's in control. And that's where I live, that's where my faith is at. And everything happens for a reason.
I'm sure that him and Casey did not disappoint at all. But no matter what happened, whether he killed or not, I just want to say that I'm proud of him. He's been through a lot. To be able to get out here and do this and test himself like that really does say something about a guy.
The potential for big game success was great from the get-go, so Chris and RL weathered the storm from mountain camp. Their decision not to move downstream paid them back with a black bear, some salmon, and a ptarmigan.